Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Abdul Rizal on Just Even Online TV and program Issues and Reality. Today, we shall be discussing more about the security, the state of the security in our country. Security is the primary duty of any government, be it aristocratic, autocratic, or democratic, in the whole world today. And for the past 2 decades, Nigeria has been on a shaky security ground, which is evident in the amount of money the government of Nigeria has injected in the security sector, which seems to be going down the drain. We've had cases of money meant for security reasons being used for campaign and other issues allegations and counter allegations by the past government and the current administration. Today, we will be dissecting the issues of security concern, because we all know that security affects each and every one of us, and where there is no adequate security, there cannot be, economy cannot flourish, because nobody will put their money where they are not safe. So, not quite long ago, let's go back in time around 2015, 2014. We were used to hearing bomb blasts all around in the northeastern part of the country, which Nigerians felt was the height of the insecurity Nigerians can ever see. But the current administration came in on three cardinal points, which is security, economy, and fight against corruption. But adequately, if we were called the current administration the servant, praise, they have really tried in reducing the threat of Boko Haram to a barest minimum, but we are experiencing a new kind of security threat, which is being given a lot of names: banditry, herdsmen clashes, and all sorts of things. And now, the security anomalies in our country was confined to a certain proportion of the state of the country. Let me say the northeastern part. But today, almost every state region has their own peculiar security challenges, and I think the nation is sitting on a keg of gunpowder, which needs a quick attention to. But a lot of people have said that we used to have a civilian in government. Maybe that was why we couldn't manage our security apparatus well. But today we had a veteran military man who has fought wars and fought guerrillas and a lot of that. We demand. A lot of Nigerians demand answers and solutions to their own problem, because we the masses are the receiving ends. As a lot of people will say, when it comes to health, they have their ways, they go abroad. When it comes to the issue of security, they have their ways, they still go abroad. So now, I have with me today Comrade Olariwaju Ishowo and Mr. Abdulkadir Gali Abu Hanifa. So, you're welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Let me start with Mr. Abdulkadir. Security as a administrative expert, and then when we talk about the nation, when we talk about security, they go hand in hand. If the people are not safe, they will know. There seems to be nothing that will move the way it should. So now, what would you say is your assessment of the current state of security in the country for the past decade?
The security situation in Nigeria can be said to be very, very bad at this point in time, because the insecurity, the situation of insecurity has actually moved to every part of Nigeria. It's not only limited to a particular region. In fact, we used to hear terrible situation of insecurity in the northeast, just like you have said. But today, every region in Nigeria has its own peculiar challenges as far as insecurity is concerned. Though what makes it seriously worrisome is the fact that the insecurity now looks like it can't be contained by our security agencies. In fact, everywhere in the world there are issues of insecurity, but citizens expect that security agencies will come on board and arrest the situation. But today in Nigeria, we have a situation where security agents are even, afraid of coming out to face the criminals, these agents of insecurity. In fact, the resultant effect of the NSAS protest puts policemen and women in a terrible situation. After the NSAS issue, we have ESN in the southeast and some people even in the southwest attacking police personnel, attacking police formations. That actually dampened the morale of policemen. And people now feel that we still have our military officers who are, more powerful, more professional, and more daring to face the criminals. But unfortunately, we all woke up one day and we had the sad news of daredevil, I don't know whether they are bandits or armed men, entering into the Nigerian Defense Academy. They entered peacefully, successfully, capturing our military officers, even killing some of them, and they went away unhurt. They carried out operation successfully. Broad daylight, entering Nigerian Defense Academy. So one start to fear what's going to happen to ordinary citizens traveling in our insecure roads, along our express highways in Nigeria. So the situation now is worrisome. It's very, very worrisome. Not because of the spate of attacks, but because we now feel more than ever before that as if there's nobody to arrest the situation. If things are happening in this way, we now have recourse to go back to our security agents, the military, the police, the security and civil defense officers. In fact, all these agencies that I just mentioned have intelligence units. It's not only going to attack, but even preventing the crime, apprehending those behind the criminal activities are the functions of intelligence agencies. We have the Nigerian intelligence agents, we have defense intelligence agents, we have intelligence unit, Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Police. So what is happening? Why are all these criminals going away, almost going away with the crimes? In fact, some people argue that we've not seen a situation where these criminals will be apprehended, prosecuted, sentenced, and Nigerians feel relieved that at least it will serve as deterrent to others who want to go their way. So I will say, in my own opinion, that the security situation in Nigeria has never been this bad. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Comrade Show, to start with you, I want you to go. Some people have been saying that we are politicizing the important issue of security magnitude. Let's start this way. Before the 2015 election, we used to have a minister in this government. Even some people said that the current president argued against the past government administration proscribing the Boko Haram as terrorists. And a minister in this government preaching that a certain people in a certain section of this country were there doing all sorts of bad things. The government of those days is not treating them the way he was treating the people in the north. But here we are. Everybody is now bearing the brunt. You have heard the sad news of the son of a senator that was strangulated in his own apartment. So the security situation is so porous. I think that the only way you can be secure in this country today is when you are not a target. And for you to believe that you are not a target, you don't even have the facts. Because these people just barging into anywhere they believe you are vulnerable and get you out, start asking for money. And we have a situation where our lawmakers are even saying that don't pay ransoms. Where when you are not sure that let me say the kidnapped victims, if the government is doing, the government is capable enough. So now let's look at the genesis of this. Where shouldn't we start placing national interest ahead of everything we do? Like a certain minister who is now minister today. I don't know, maybe he didn't think he would become a minister today and have a microscopic view of the Nigerian situation. So what would you advise? Let's look at it from political angle, because Nigeria is a very politically volatile state, and we should, everybody, what I say today might have 500% weight than they have to stay in the next 15 years. So what would be your advice in that regard?
Good afternoon, Fias. Let me pick you up from the usage of national interests. And I think that is where the problem emanates from. When you say national interests, in a contextual meaning, that should be the interests, the overall interests of a country that will predominate over any sub-national interests. But in Nigeria context, one of the reasons why people are alleging the current administration is the inability to place the interests of the country above any other interest therein. And look at it, just like you have alluded in your footnotes, one will say that if you remember, or we have a retrospect of where we are coming from, and we submit, just like the man beside me submitted, that things are not so worse like this. Unless we want to deceive ourselves. Part of the reasons that made Nigeria to vote for the current administration in 2015 was the inability of the immediate past administration to protect lives and property of the people. And anywhere in the world, just like you have said, no matter the nature of the government in place, no matter the name we give it, the primary responsibility of such governments is to protect lives and property of the people and ensure welfare of the citizenry. But unfortunately, when you look at it, what is happening in Nigeria today, it is disturbing, simply because instead to forge ahead, the security of the nation is now deteriorating. Going by the recent happenings, Nigeria Defense Academy, one of the major symbols of Nigeria security architecture in the country, and the bandits, whom we fail to address it the way it should be, we continue painting them bandits, even when we know that the activities has placed them to be terrorists. What could have stopped the country to prescribe these people that they are terrorists and treat them like that? But in an attempt to be painting the situation that they are bandits, when they are creating havoc day by day, they are, absolutely or nearly overwhelmed our security architecture. We have seen a governor at the time, I think in Katsina State, when he made the public declaration that he has been exhausted. Federal government should help him. But the federal government that want to help him, to what extent are the federal government equally curbed the security impacts in the country? So when you look at it, no matter the achievement you want to record, anywhere in the world, if the security of the people governed by the government is no longer secured, I don't see anywhere or any platform will say that this is the achievement of a government. In essence, the primary responsibility of the government, be it at the center, at the state or the local government, is to protect the lives and property. As clearly stated in Nigeria National Constitutional mandate, I think Section 14 talks about that. So to what extent are we put it in place? So telling us that this administration is trying, well, they are trying, but going by where we are coming from, I don't think they are actually trying. You can see it now. For us to know that all things has gone beyond the Boko Haram activities. Day by day, we are seeing that these people are laid down their arms in thousands. Ordinarily, if we are to be in the position of 2015, we should be in the street jubilating that the only security challenge facing Nigeria as at that time was, Boko Haram. But as today, these people are coming to lay down their arms and ammunition in thousands. Yet, virtually all the states in the country could not guarantee, the lives and property of the people any longer. Take my state as an example. The issue of kidnapping is alien to us. Except during our younger days, it's a bomber. And that bomber, is quite uncommon. But as today, nobody is safe. Nobody is under protection. So, the reoccurring of kidnapping, there was a similar, maybe a scenario, I think 3 days ago, when they attacked an hotel.
Yeah.
They shot people, they kidnapped one, and they armed one. We read about the issue of Molete students, along with others. Khadija Isaac, we heard about what happened in Okeonigbe. Very recent, all within 2 weeks, in Kwara State. That some states are, at the time, envy as one of the most secured environments. As of today, we have joined the conglomeration, in fighting against this kidnapping, incident kidnapping there and there. So for me, I do agree that we have actually addressed the issue. And the best way to go is for the government to go all out against these people. That they are not in enemy of this country. In any way you want to say it, they have created an havoc. They have created an havoc. And, ridiculing the image of this nation. And the implication is this. If this is happening, and we are now looking at it that they are bandits, what was the causes? Or what was the cause of this bandits of the thing? It started somewhere. Why this spillover across the Federation? So it's a concern that all the government need to rise to the occasion. And you see the engagement between a certain governor and Mr. President on how his own state was unable to secure. Other governor was only keep quiet. Not that things are normal the way it's supposed to be. Before you ask that question, I will continue pointing to the government at the center because of the structural fate of our security architecture. Virtually, the base is being controlled by the federal government. The soldiers are being controlled by the federal government. The JSS by the federal government. Navy by the federal government. Air Force by the federal government. So it is quite illogical for president to tell the governor that go back to your own state. Go and fix it. I know it's part of the responsibility of the state. But have they been given the opportunity to come up with the best template? Look at the issue of Amateku. Before it was played into, actualized, we saw the rivalry between the IG and the concerned people. Look at the situation of anti-grazing law that the Southern governor resolved about. What is the pointification coming from the center? It was a pure disagreement. It shows that we are not put all hands are not on deck. And that is why I said, what is Nigeria national interest? If we are able to place it that this Nigerian national interest, then all the other variables need to come to play and address holistically.
You said something about governors. Starting governor telling the president, the government at the center to come to his aid. It did not start today. If you could remember, the former governor of Zamfara State, I can't remember his name now, the immediate past governor of Zamfara State, said that he declared that the federal government should come and take over in the state before, in a headway to the 2019 general election. Theophilus Danjuma said that you guys have to start defending yourself. We know what is happening in Benue State, what's currently going on in Plateau State. Even the current Zamfara State governor said one of the reasons why he moved from the APC, from the PDP to the APC is because of security concern. And now, looking at everything altogether, a lot of people will say that this government seems to be failing in the security sector. Okay, now let's go to the issue of grazing, farmers either clashes. A lot of people do not know that there is internally displaced persons camp inside Benue State, resulting from these farmers elders clashes. People that had their homes and they have to start living under mosquito nets now. Now, let's take these two governors for example. The governor of Benue, governor of Plateau. We know geographically, even ethnically, they are almost families. Now, the governor of Plateau State is always in the Azo Rock, going to the president, but we know the situation in Benue State. Plateau State. Why the governor of Benue State is always sending boards to the house that you guys are not doing well, you guys are not doing the right thing. But to an extent, it seems to have a more peaceful atmosphere in the state than the governor that runs to the house of to the House of Rock and at every time. Now, somebody has described the Nigerian governors as toothless bulldogs when we talk about them being the chief security officers of their state. Don't you think that we need to rebuild, not even rejig, rebuild our security architecture? That even, okay, there was a time Femi Falana was saying that the Nigerian governors has more power on security than they think they have, because there's something called, the Police Service Commission, where the president is the chairman and they are all members. That since 1999, no governor has ever asked that, okay, let's sit on this thing. Everything is being done by the presidency. They are abdicating their, maybe deliberately or nonchalantly abdicating their responsibility. And I think it's high time Nigeria, is it not the high time Nigerians think about true federalism? Because I think if there's a true federalism, each state governor should be given the power to address the peculiar security situation. Because when we talk about the security situation in Niger State, in Benue State, it's different from what they face in Oyo State. You now go to Enugu State, it's peculiar to each and everybody. But the government seems to be prescribing the same medicine to different ailments.
Actually, I think let me start by correcting an impression that Nigeria needs to put in place what we call true federalism. I want to say categorically that I've listened to the scholars who study federalism, even at the professor's SIP level. I think Egoza Ozaga is one of the leading scholars in Nigeria today. I think he's currently the DG of NIA. In one of his lectures, he let us realize that there is no true federalism in the world, across the world. Nowhere. If in America, you see that agitation still coming from certain quarters, that this is not how it's supposed to be. Maybe because it's a man-made law, we don't expect perfection from that. But aside from that, when you look at what Nigeria is packaging to be a federal system of government, I would rather say that we need to filtrate what is expected of a country to call a federal state. Nigeria only bears this name in the community of nations. And that is why people like me will extremely find it difficult to say that governors should man their respective states until we change the structural phase of Nigeria's system of government. In a situation whereby the items, what they call documents, as stated by Professor Oloyede, I think the former senator from Osun State. You know, he rose up that day and said that this document is the problem facing this country. And until and unless they look into it, address it in a way that we settle virtually all the reservations therein. When we have a document that 68 items therein is being controlled by the government at the same time, only 12 left to the government and the state. Even that 12 is under concurrent, being shared by
the state, and by the center and the subnational.
And subnational. That alone tells us what's made up of Nigeria as a country. And until discussion about this is affirmed, we're not only here to talk, but to address the issue. This is the part of the problem. You see people in North Central, the two states you mentioned that happen to be the trouble spot in recent times, even Niger State, they are leading, except Zamfara State and Kaduna State. These are people that are leading in area of insecurity in current time. Niger State, Plateau, and Benue State. And unfortunately, Nigeria comes from that asset. Kwara State comes from that asset. I read it on my way coming that even in Kogi State, these bandits barge into church when Christians are doing rehearsal and they abducted 3. So it shows that anybody can be a victim at any point in time. So as we are talking, do our leaders that are much more concerned, they are much more concerned simply because that was the basis why we elected them. That was the basis we elected Mr. President to come and man the country. That was the basis we elected Mr. Governor to come and man the state. That was the basis we elected Mr. Chairman. Do we have a talk? Do we even have the chairman? When we are now advocating that states should be more independent than the current one, what can you say about the local government? When you know that in advanced climb, where democracy strive, it starts from the grassroots. Just let me give an example. And it's not a must to have a carbon copy of what is obtainable in UK, to have a carbon copy of what is obtainable in US. Let me give you an example of what is happening in UK. In UK, they have the authority, and it is local government. But they only elected the councillors representing each unit. The chairman is by appointment. They will look for an experienced retired civil servant with 5 track record who has the idea on finance and economy to come and manage the local government. It depends on how you are able to move that local government forward that will determine how long you stay there. Look at that. Is it the same thing in US? No. It's the same thing in Canada, differently. But why do we find difficult to study ourselves as a country and look for a peculiar law document that will reflect our differences and address the problem facing us? But when you look at even in America, those that are governing America by population are far lesser than those that are governing Nigeria. What they have in minister, we have like 43 ministers here. They call it secretary there. They only have 18. We have 3 senators by 1, they have 2. The vice president of United States of America is the Senate president of the Congress there. So it means they study what pleases them and they are able to put it in place. But here, what we are after is just to take an excursion. How is it obtainable in US? Just carbon copy without studying our area of differences, without having a cultural background of our differences and aligning. Before I drop this, look at India as an instance. At the time the Bangladesh broke away, Pakistan broke away. The then India president, or prime minister as we call it, I think in 1963, if I'm not mistaken, 1953, he was an activist. And he knew that there are some people who have brains than he did. He now assemble brains. How are you going to review the constitutional framework that will reflect our differences in the country? Since that time, all the minority leaders, minority sections were taken on in consideration in this. The conversation in Nigeria today is marginalization, restructuring, this and that. Even when the administration promised about restructuring, did they even understand the content of restructuring? Or they use that, to win their votes? This is a country where leaders will talk at the time and citizens will not ask questions. How are you going to actualize this? So blaming will now continue. If by now we are still blaming past administration, I saw the video clips of President Muhammadu Buhari when he was elected, before he was sworn in, what he said about the past administration. I saw that of El-Rufai, what he said about past administration. Now they are in the same problem and they could not have an atom of initiative.
Thank you very much.
To show the difference between the yesterday and
today. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Sir, Mr. Country, let's look at this from this angle. He talks about popularity, and Nigeria's situation now seems to be peculiar to each and every state. Let's go to the northeastern part of the country. What is rampant is this hip-hop mashup issue, when they will just wake up in a day and decide that, okay, there's a sit-at-home. And when you go through the nooks and crannies, you will know that majority of the people are not home because they believe in Biafra. they are being forced to stay put in their houses. They stock their houses with food so that they are expecting crisis every day in that place. They deserve their own kind of, let me say, solution to their own kind of problem. Now, come to the South. You hear every day about this, issue of vandalization in the South because of the oil, because they are the oil-rich region of the country. Now, come to the Southwest. You hear about the former NS clashes. You come to the North Central. You hear the same thing. Going to the Northwest, you hear about this issue of Southern Kaduna almost every day. Former NS clashes, kidnapping, which is normally not, we know that is not traditional to them. Go to the Northeast. And like the comrade said that, now today we are hearing that members of the Boko Haram are coming out in droves to surrender their, and this was the agitation of this certain minister that said that why are Northerners not treated like Southerners? Why don't we have a let me say a ministry for them too, like we do have for the Niger Delta region? And like what I said, you are only safe in this country if you are not a target, and you can't know for any reason why you'll be a target. For example, if we say the son of a senator that was killed in recently in Kaduna is a target because he's the son of a senator, we've heard about somebody that was, same thing was done to him in a hotel too. He was kidnapped. Nobody even knows his father today. I don't know his father. Maybe his father is a senator too. Maybe. So now, it's now clear that we are only safe because we are not being targeted. So, what would you say? Because, for example, going by Benue State, the food basket of the nation, they are predominantly farmers. And there was a time I was reading something, and now I was economically, they said that Gary is now very expensive. A man was saying, okay, I know why. I have a Gary factory. He said he now imports cassava. He now imports cassava because the people they bought cassava from are now afraid to go to farm. So now, if insecurity is now already affecting the economy, now going by education, now the person whose child was kidnapped in Kwasu, normally within 2-3 weeks, that lady will still be going through the central, and then the trauma. So he asked me, maybe I think their exam is approaching, maybe she might not be able to participate. And so now, it's, this security of the thing, it seems to be affecting almost everything. So what would be your assessment of this, and what do you think should be the way forward?
You see, there is what I call national political hypocrisy in Nigeria. It's national political hypocrisy. We are not sincere. And if we are not ready to be sincere and face the situation with sincerity, the problem will continue in Nigeria. You see, the Nigerian federalism has a lot of challenges. In fact, the proponent of Nigerian federalism, the founders of Nigerian federalism, identified those challenges, and they actually preferred solutions. But the present generation of Nigerian leaders are not ready to face that reality because of ethnic bigotry, because of ethnic chauvinism, because of hegemony, because a particular tribe in Nigeria is believed to have upper hand and is believed to want to actually dominate other tribes in Nigeria. You see, those who are agitating always cry of marginalization. And marginalization is actually identified as part of the challenges of Nigerian federalism. That is why the founders of Nigerian federalism put in place what we call federal character. The Federal Character Commission is supposed to address this issue of marginalization sincerely. Sections in Nigeria, tribes in Nigeria, states in Nigeria, people who believe that they are being marginalized should be able to write petition to the Federal Character Commission to seek redress, and their complaints are supposed to be addressed and solutions supposed to be provided. But in Nigeria, we are hypocrites because our leaders know the problem and they refuse to, address the problem because of their political interest and some other associated interest. My brother said something. Nigeria is peculiar, fine. Other countries are also peculiar, but they face the challenges that emanate from their peculiarity. They face it with sincerity. All of them, agreed that these are challenges, and let us now face it sincerely, and they did. In Nigeria, we are running away. We are always running away from the solution because we are not sincere. In fact, many past administrations, they have come up with national confab. What is the essence of national confab? Is to sit down, in a round table, discuss the challenges, highlight these challenges, identify these challenges, and provide solutions. What has happened to national confab in Nigeria? What has happened to national confab in Nigeria? The last one was the one organized by Jonathan administration. What happened to it? They swept them under the carpet because we don't want to face the reality, because we are not sincere. That is why, let me tell you, I am an ordinary Nigerian, like we used to say. The information available to me is very, very minimal. I want to quote late Gani Fahimi. He said, if you are close to information in Nigeria, you will die of heart attack. Some of us are very far from information. That's why we are still laughing. If you are close to information where they are damaging this country, if you are a true patriot, you will die of heart attack the following morning. Because our political leaders, they don't care about anything than their political interest. Now, Benue, thank God you mentioned IDP. IDP in Benue, what is stopping them from going back home? Is because what pursue them away from their homes as they there. What is our security doing? As if there is no security again in Nigeria. As if we have accepted defeat. Nigerian government has accepted defeat that we cannot contain insecurity in Nigeria. That is why we still have people at IDPs in Benue. We have people at IDPs in Borno. In fact, Zulum is really trying very hard to relocate them back to their various homes, villages. But the problem we have is that if you return the people at the IDP camp to their homes in Benue, you cannot really stop these others or whatever. You cannot stop them from attacking them the following night or the following morning.
Okay, let me just chip in something.
Okay.
When we talk about the governor, a governor has said that defend yourself.
Governor of the State. Yes.
And he has said again that I stand by what I said.
Okay.
But somebody has said that even in the US, when this gun violence issue came, and somebody came up with the idea that teachers, because they realized that school children were the target, he said that okay, teachers to learn how to handle AK-47. Then experts were like, no, don't add what is not their job to their job, because their job is to teach these children. Telling them to undo AK-47 within a space of 5 months, then go back to classes, will change their reasoning. Now they have the dilemma. So they need to train soldiers as teachers. They are soldiers that are already teachers, so they need to put them in the schools. They will just be there maybe as non-teaching styles, even sometimes teaching styles. That was the solutions they preferred for themselves. Now, going there, a governor of Katsina State said, you can go and defend yourself. A former high-ranking military man, even in the Aminu said, guys, you have to defend yourself. A governor in Zamfara State that said, this thing is too much for me, the government has to come. Now, recently, the federal government has said that you can't defend yourself. That it is illegal for you to get a gun to defend yourself. Nigeria normally are confused. Like, okay, the governor has said, you guys should defend yourself. I'm very sure if the governor of Katsina State was to be from the opposition, we have issues today. Because it will be baffling. when Malam Garba Shehu, the spokesperson to the president, said that the attack on the NDA was meant to discredit the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. You know, this thing will normally shake your mind that an issue of this magnitude, if NDA is not safe, where do you think will be safe in this country except the House Road? Now, can you just talk about what our leaders? Our leaders seems to be telling us the truth. Even though, as you said, even though if we are not close to information, our leader seems to be sneaking the truth out to us. Okay, for example, the governor of Benue State is not going to the Hazo Road. The governor of Plateau State is going, and Benue seems to be more peaceful than Plateau. And this guy, I mean, governor of Plateau, I mean,
my brother, I think let me continue here. The statement credited to the governor of Katsina State, the statement credited to Major General Retired Theophilus Danjuma. They are loudest voice of truth of the situation, and they really corroborated our stand that Nigeria is a failure. Nigeria is a failure. If a governor who, by virtue of the Nigerian Constitution, is the chief security officer of a state that has the sole responsibility of defending his people, is now calling on the same people to defend themselves, what are we talking about? It's a failure. Our politicians are shameless. They are shameless. In fact, in a normal climb, he should be impeached, or better still, resign for failure. Recently, I want to put in Jordan, because of this COVID-19, when the pandemic was still on, because 6 people died in a day, the Minister of Health in Jordan resigned. Just resigned, 6 people in a day. And the chief security officer in Nigeria is calling people to defend themselves. Is admitting failure. They cannot defend you. Then what are you doing as the chief security officer? So this thing, I want to go back to what I said about hypocrisy. The Benue situation is there. Everybody knows what is happening. In fact, if you follow the media twist of Benue situation, you will feel bad as a Nigerian. That why do we always politicize everything? As I'm speaking to you now, George Akume is calling for state of emergency in Benue State because he's in the opposition. Akume is calling for state of emergency in Benue State. Nobody is calling for state of emergency in Plateau State. Nobody is calling for state of emergency in Zamfara State. Nobody is calling for the same thing in Katsina State, where the governor came out to admit failure. So we always politicize everything. And what is the saddest thing, as far as I'm concerned, is that the Nigerian presidency has now become something else. If you come out to criticize the government, which actually is the duty of a citizen, you have to express your public opinion.
Yeah.
You have that right. And you don't express your opinion on private issue. You express your opinion on public issue. Insecurity is a public issue. And the governor is calling out on the president. Please do something to help my people. Because the security of my state is not in my hand. My brother has said it. The security of my state is not in my hand. He doesn't have the power to give orders to the commissioner of police. He doesn't have the power to give orders to the director of state security in his state. You see, that is why my brother has said it all. Our federalism in Nigeria is like a what? Comedy. It's like comedy. Because we don't actually, just like he said, we don't study our own peculiar situation. Some people felt that, okay, so for us to be able to secure our people, we have to start agitating for state police. Federal government said no. Okay, they now, cunningly, they created Amotekun. Federal government did not allow Amotekun, to perform as expected of the Amotekun. Because in Nigerian constitution, you cannot just, create a security apparatus, you have to go register with the existing constitutionally recognized security agents, apparatus. So what I'm saying is that it's not because the presidency doesn't know what Benue people are facing. It's because they know that they still want to keep that political identity of APC, PDP, irrespective of lives of Nigerians that are being slaughtered unjustly.
All right, Comrade Show. Recently, Madam Garba Shehu has been granting interviews on Channels TV and everywhere, on BBC. The last one he did was on BBC PJ, and he said that when he was asked how if the federal government has been fair in treatment to every sector that has been affecting the Nigerian security state, and he said that the federal government has been fair, that and the interviewer, if I'm not mistaken, asked him that if the federal government has been handling the bandits, the so-called bandits, the way they've been handling the hip hop, maybe we have there would have been a change. He said yes, that what else do you expect the federal government to do, that the federal government has been bombing them? And somebody said, I mean, the interviewer talked about prescribe. Like, why don't you just prescribe them terrorists? And that maybe it will fly a red flag, and maybe even if the fight comes in and it's a terrorist fight, it will be treated with immediate alacrity. He said it doesn't need. That federal government is doing to the bandits what it's not doing to IPOB. And we all know that the almighty python dance. And we've not seen a crocodile smile again in the north. So what do you think? Do you think the federal government has not been sentimental in the treatment of the security problems?
I think deep down in your mind, you quite know that part of the reasons why we find ourselves at this level is the stick and carrot approach adopted by the government at the same time. If not, the Sheikh Gumi, they are referring certain things. We assumed primarily that those bandits are invisible. But at the time, it spoke on the screen that these people are known, including their locations. What stopped the government to have declared state of emergency in arresting those people? That is one angle. See what happened in Ondo State when the governor came up that those that are residing in forests should come and register.
Yes.
So that if anything happens in this also place, definitely the record will show that these are the people who are going to hold responsible. The defense came from the same Garba Shehu, quoting constitution that every citizen has right to reside anywhere in the country for economic survival and for security reasons. What happened later? The governor went ahead that these people must register. It's not that he's sending them away. And you saw at the time when he licensed the killers, those people, quote and unquote, relating it to those that are selling spare parts.
That's
that's Malami from the government quarters. But at the end of the day, we saw the reaction coming from Mr. President that no governor should embark on anti-grazing law. It was at the time this governor came together. The entire 17 governors from the southern states. Of course, we have seen 4 among them pull out. The 13 remains. In fact, I read it that the governor of Ondo State has signed the anti-grazing law today because the September 1st.
Rivers assigned too.
Rivers assigned too. And the federal government want to review, I think there are 68 roads. You know, across the federation, grazing roads across the federation. At this point in time, as a giant of Africa, where some countries that have the numbers of cows, even the numbers of the people in that particular respective countries, I think Holland is 1. Botswana is 2.
Australia is another country with a very
so when you look at it,
cows.
none of them involved on this open grazing. In 21st century, The advocacy is still open grazing when we know the implication of this. When we know an extent at which these things has reduced the security architecture of the country. I don't think government at the center need to take it against the governor of the southern state. And it's quite interesting that Governor Ganduje aligned with the position of the southern governors. And I listened to his comments yesterday when he talked about the problem facing us. He talked about that he is a Fulani man. He learned Hausa when he was in school. That's quite interesting. So what I'm saying in essence is that this particular governor is in support with the resolution of the southern governors. That his people, Fulani, may not like his own position. But to have a lasting solution to this, one, he said that there are some Fulanis that are coming. He talked about the ECOWAS problem. How some Fulanis are moving from one country down to the Nigeria as the fact that I sought for them. Do they have any mechanism to censor their movements? Do they have any mechanism in place to check their influx coming to the country? That is one area. It talks about the domestic one we are facing. How a Fulani man with his numbers of cows will move from one state down to the south. That what have they put in place to regulate that movement that is in support of the position of those governors that said that ranching should be the alternative to the open grazing. And he has taken the bull by the horn. He made mention of certain local governments and certain hectares of land that he has acquired for ranching to take place. If Kano governor has taken the bull by the horn, then what's the problem? Do we have the government at the center defending that open grazing is the best way to go? That is where people are coming from. That they don't see the presidency or Mr. President in particular addressing this issue of security challenges holistically. If Mr. President is taking the same position, taken against the Southeast, the Igbos here, against these bandits, even when they know the location, I don't think the deaths we are recording day by day will continue flying in Nigeria. And Mr. President forgot to look back to the promise he made. You are aborting blame on, is it the minister you are talking about? Mr. President at the time told us that he's a retired general that is going to fight the insecurity by tooth and nail. This is where we are. Are we able to dissect his position yesterday to the current situation of today? If it happens in another clime, he is expected to have resigned.
All right, thank you very much. Let's talk about resignation. I think to corroborate what you said, Mr. Abdulkarim, in Lebanon, there was a huge bomb blast that almost decimated the capital. The whole government apparatus had to lay down. The state almost headed into a state of comatose because all of them believe that we have failed. Till date, I think they celebrate their 1 year last week. I mean last month if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere around this month. They still feel the pain. They believe that today they have not have a formidable government. They are still shopping for the best. And in Nigeria, I don't think we've ever had somebody to have a human feeling, not even the state government, to say, okay, state government has said, as you said that, go and defend yourself. That's like a father telling his child that, go and fend for yourself, I have no money to pay. And the father that says that will know that he has no right to tell the boy when to sleep and when to not. And that's where a boy comes from. When you don't feed the boy, maybe he makes his money in the night, you will not even care. So that's one. Now, another thing is that, so when you talk about the security, it seems to be political. Governor Otom of Benue State has said severally that they have sat at the neck, they talked, and they agreed about ranting. And Mr. Rafo Emerson, Ralph Wado Emerson said that if what you do speaks loud, why do I have to listen to your words? He said that what they normally agree with is ranching. But he knew that, President Muhammadu Buhari wants open grazing. Now we are talking about a gazette that happened in the 50s and into the 60s. That happened at the southern region. We should remember that the government at the center back then was very weak, not as we have it today. It was a certain, and then there was a judgment from the western region then that nullified the gazette.
Ondo in particular.
So that nullified the gazette, and then let me say, and from what we are hearing, most of these grazing routes has been built on, and we are talking about people that have encroached the land. Are we demolishing these people and rendering them homeless? It seems that from what we start from, maybe we don't understand the concept of national interest. And in 2 minutes, what do you think our leaders need to start thinking about?
We just need to get it right. We need to set our priority right and to have a common ground of what is called national interests. You know, that is where I started. That was where I started. If actually we understand the message of Nigerian national interest, I don't see this kind of dissenting voices from the south to the north, from the presidency to certain governors. I give kudos to Ganduje. At least he's leading the most populated states. He's a Fulani man. The role I expected Mr. President to have played in addressing the issue, that was exactly the interview, the position of Ganduje, that is in line, it aligns in totality with the position of the southern governors, that open grazing must be banned. What does it take, Mr. President? If that will give us peace, regardless of, and Mr. President too has the numbers of cows. He has ranching for them. Some prominent Nigeria they have ranching for them. So we need to take the issue of cow rearing as a commercial business, where they need to pay, even if the government want to subsidize for them, just
Exactly.
like the kind of governor.
Exactly.
What to do now? What does it take, Mr. President, to give directives to other governors that this is the best way to go about it to save the country? Nobody knows where this country is moving towards, but at this point in time, we are not safe. And until I see Mr. President to be more decisive in this conversation, in the era of keeping silent, talks at a time, imagine to open up something in the last decade.
In the last century.
In the last, before
From the last
independence.
century.
From independence, that is the best way to go at this point in time. Amidst of the current security challenges facing us, is an act of insensitivity from the government at the same time.
Okay, sir, let me come to you. I think I may have to run 2 questions in one for you. In the United States, before Abraham Lincoln, there was this issue between the southern and the northern region, where it became the survival of the fittest, the rise of the James Brown of this world, and a lot of people were killed. It led to civil war. Now let's go back to Nigeria. Before we had the revolution of these, the coup of 1965, 66, if I'm mistaken, there was insecurity. The Middle Belt back then was fighting for independence, and we want to be a region on our own. We could remember the Middle Belt, the heart of the Middle Belt that time is still the Benue and the Plateau that's having problems today. There was issue with the Southeast. The same thing, agitation to leave. That's the same thing that's still happening there. In the Southwest, there was consensus about, if you look at the governors that had left this agreement of open grazing, banning of open grazing, no Southwestern governor has left. And if you could remember, only one of them is from the opposition party to the presidency. All 6 of the remaining 6 are from the president's party, which means that we might be heading towards where we used to be in 1967, and then 1966 and 1967 we slipped into a civil war that lived for about 30 months. So, do you think we are not good students of history and we are treading with fire?
If you go back to the 1966 coup, really, you see that the coup was a tribal coup. The counter coup was also a tribal counter coup. People have been saying it. I've read a lot about it. That why was Nnamdi Azikiwe, spared? Why was other people also who are not from the north and who were not also allied to the north, why were they spared? Number one. Then number two, remember that after the coup, the most senior military officer that became the head of state returned Nigeria back to Unitarianism. That was another indication to show that it was a tribal coup, because they believed that the federal arrangement favored the particular tribe because of its population than another tribe. Now, you can see the urgency of the counter coup. Just between January and July,
July,
there was a counter coup. Then who led the counter coup? Who are those that supported Gowon? It's a tribal situation. So Nigeria situation, Nigerian problem, I want to say, starts and ends with tribalism. Now let me tell you, the open grazing we are talking about, the stubbornness, I want to use that word, I think I will permit it. The stubbornness of the president on open grazing is not because they want to feed the cows. It's not because they want to feed the cows. It's hegemonic. It's because they want to, continue to assert the supremacy of the Fulanis on other tribes in Nigeria. An average Fulani man does not see himself as a Nigerian, as a citizen of Nigeria. He sees himself as a citizen of West Africa. My brother mentioned that by ECOWAS. If you go back to the issue of Fulanis in Nigeria, they don't believe that they are citizens of Nigeria or they are citizens of Ghana. They are citizens of West Africa. You can go back to Usman Danfodio and read this history.
I could remember the issue of Garbo.
Fine, so that's what I'm telling you. So they believe that they are free to move anywhere in West Africa. They believe that they can settle anywhere in West Africa. I was telling somebody, before you gave them route, before you approved a Ruga for them, look at Kwara, look at other parts, even go to Oyo State, go to Osun State. Go and look at the settlement of Fulanis there. Where did they buy the land they occupied? From where did they get the land they were occupying? They just settled and they occupied the place. Even in Kwara, even in Ilorin here, they just settled and they occupy where they live today. In fact, my family around Alakoko, our village, we have one small tiny village at Alakoko there. One of our family members died and we were there. We were there, we did the fidal. When we got back to London, the following morning, we received a call that Fulanis have attacked them there. When we rushed there, what happened? They said, they just came and said, we want to settle here. I said, just settle there. And they settled. Then they started dragging the land with them. I think I mentioned to you that a younger brother who is a DSS officer, who was posted to Delta, told me that they went to settle a case between some Fulani people and Delta in Delta State over land dispute. Fulanis, fighting for land in Delta State. So these people believe that anything that has to do with the geography of West Africa, they are free, they are the owner. So, and that agenda is what the presidency is pursuing. It's not because they want to feed the cow. My brother has gave us the solution. Buhari himself did not do open grazing for his cow. Why is he now pursuing that Nigeria should do open grazing? When open grazing is causing, is affecting many lives. People, it's not only affecting lives, it's affecting the economy. Because Benue is the food basket of the nation. Benue is people cannot go to farm anymore. People here in London also cannot go to farm anymore. A concerned president, a president that has national interest, should be concerned that if there is food crisis in Nigeria, what's going to happen to my citizens? Instead of concerning himself with what is going to happen to citizens who are not going to be, have enough to to it is concerned about settling his tribe men. So me, I don't believe that issue of open grazing is about commercial, want to sell cow, want to know. It's about giving Fulani the ability to settle anywhere in Nigeria.
Oh, thank you very much. I think my take home today will be the words of Ganifa Emi, which says if you have opportunity to information in Nigeria, and you are a patriot, you had heart attack. I think I want to believe that, because when these people leave power, what they say, what they write, you'll be baffled that. Where were you when you were in power? But thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your time. It has been a lengthy, objective, and constructive discussion. I'm Abdul Qadir Isiaq once again. Just like, do have a lovely day.